It's time for Inside the Patch with your Las Vegas Raiders. Here's Gnarley Charley.
Well, welcome to Inside the Patch, courtesy of ESPN 1430, your Valley Sports leader. And I am Gnarley Charley with a special edition of Inside the Patch. Although the Raiders are back in training camp now, hitting with full pads, I am super excited, especially all you Raider fans out there that remember the days of greatness in 1976 when we beat the Minnesota Vikings in Super Bowl 11. Oh, John Matuzak, number 72, Otis Sistrunk, Ken Stabler, Cliff Branch. All those guys were a big part. In fact, my special guests today, Brett Myers and Matthew Peach, they are the directors and producers of a documentary on the twos right there. You can see him. Look at it. He is still a hot-looking man. You know what I mean? He's an actor.
He's a tough-looking guy.
Intimidating and tough, and a big heart, though.
Yeah. So what it is Brett and Matt are putting together a documentary on the Matuzak, on John Matuzak. And what's special about that is it's never been done. When he passed away early at the age of 38, his family kind of shut down everything.
Yeah, so the family had a lot of offers, and it was really difficult for them to lose such a character and an important person in their life, and so they just hid away from the public eye for a little while and let the grieving process happen. And over the years, they had a lot of offers and talking about and telling John's story, and nobody's ever done that in official capacity with the family's permission until there was a family connection with Brett here.
Yeah, so I had, long story short, I was adopted, and my friend, Kathleen, knew some people out in Florida that were doing a documentary, and she knows I'm a documentarian, said, you need to talk to this family. They're getting hit up by Hollywood about doing a documentary on the twos, and they wanted to know about rights and stuff like that and everything like that regarding safety on that.
The whole process of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, basically, they called me for some advice on that with people hitting them up and so forth from Hollywood. And I said, you really need an entertainment lawyer because I know his mother was really particular. It really broke her heart about a lot of times of the things John had in the press and stuff like that. And there was so much more about this guy that was really wonderful. So I said, you should get an entertainment lawyer and go from there. And then they saw the trailer to my documentary and then asked me if I wanted to do it. And I was a little hesitant at first because I didn't know about the guy. I want to make sure I do something that is on someone that I'd want to do. So I start reading more of his autobiography and got to know this guy. And he was big, but his heart was even bigger. And it was actually really incredible. And I was like, yeah, I'll take on this project.
So we went down to Florida, and Brett was like, hey, I'm going to fly down. And then I was like, this is a big deal. Let's do this right. So I packed in the car, packed in all my film equipment, multiple cameras, and we drove down to Florida, and we set up some interviews with the family members. And that was kind of those first steps on talking with them and getting John's story. And then we started going down the football path. And that's one of the reasons why we're talking with you here today, Gnarley, is because of the fan base and the Raider Nation. And John was just loved to play football. It was his heart and soul in his early days. So we really wanted to be respectful to the Raiders Nation and kind of announce this huge story that's never been told to you all first, because John loved football, and he really loved the fans, and he loved to be part of it. And he was a warrior on the field and just a heart of gold off the field with his teammates and spending time with children. It's such an amazing story. And then you get into the whole Hollywood side of things.
Yeah, there's so much on this guy. Like, anytime I bring it up to the public, now that we're starting to do that, everybody wants to be part of it. Anybody that knew John fell in love with John. They were just... He glowed and made everyone else glow. It was really, pretty easy to drop his name and say, you want to be part of this? You want to talk on camera? Because they loved him, inside and out. And
for example, when Tom Flores got his golden jacket, we got to go to his hometown and be part of his homecoming parade. And then we got to interview Tom for his own piece, but also for John, and talked to him about John and his relationship with John. And I mean, what a unique opportunity to meet such a legendary coach, and and have that opportunity to sit down with him and to talk about John, and he could still recall every moment and everything. I mean, John made such an impact on everybody he touched, and it's getting to follow some of that story now is just really, really cool.
Brett and Matt, both of you guys, we have missed paths so close. I actually am from Sanger, California, the home of Tom Flores. So you were 9 miles from my house when you came to that parade.
And probably drove by.
Yeah, and so I'm a big fan of Tom Flores, and that's where I got a lot of my information, because I played in Tom Flores Stadium. You probably saw it, and you were there. And Matuzak just he was bigger than life. I want to say like the lore of Paul Bunyan. It's so funny to hear people tell the stories, and the fact that you came to my hometown, Sanger, and filmed, and I didn't even know you guys at the time. And this Central Valley, this is like we're the belly button of California, and it is Raider Central. There's so many Raider fans here.
Man, to see the fans and the Raiders at Nation
packed down the street,
and the excitement. It was just like you can't help but like want to be part of it. I'm from Detroit, right? I root for my team, but they're the Detroit, right? So I've always been a Raiders fan and rooted for the Raiders. I love the way they play, and then to get to be part of a legendary player, like you said, almost like this Paul Bunyan status, which is why we're calling the documentary right now The Legend of the Twos. It's a working title. We're still working that out, but for right now, that's what it's called.
Okay, but it's pretty amazing because getting to know the family. They're from the Midwest, and I'm from the Midwest, and it's making it a really special thing because they're really particular with John. When we went down to meet first time, we all had dinner. We all got to know each other, quite well, and it had to become more family before they would want someone to take on the project, in which it's really exciting, because like I said, the family is very particular with John, and with that being said, there's so much of him that was expressed, and so much footage and archival footage, and just the stories where it almost gets you and touches you in your heart. There's some things within their interviews you're like, this is beautiful, man, and I mean, the world hasn't seen it yet, and they will now.
We're excited to be on the cusp of the announcement. All that is so awesome. And I think, when you suggested they get an entertainment lawyer first, you won their trust because you're not being a TMZ. You're not trying to nail them. You're trying to tell. You've uncovered a story. And as you lay this out and tell it, we're standing by. We can't wait to get all the details and the interviews. But that's another reason you're on the show is you're going to need reenactments. You're going to need actors. Anybody looks like John Matuzak? We got him a job. That's next.
That's
actually you're right, man. Like we're looking for somebody that wants to play John in the film, right? We need somebody his size that played a little bit of ball, that can move, and we're talking a 6'7", 6'9", somewhere in there, gentlemen, 300 pounds.
Yeah,
they don't have to be in the best shape because they're not going to play real football, but they need to know the moves. They need to have done it before.
And it won't be showing much of the face, different areas of that. So reenactments of it. So, we'll probably have different people playing John at different points, depending on the shots and stuff like that. But I mean, coming on here and talking to you, this is the first podcast we came talking about the Raiders, and for you to expose it and finding more heads out there that would be interested in playing him, I'm sure they'd be honored, and John would be honored too.
There's a lot of Raider clubs, and they have hundreds of members, and they're all a big part of the show, and they're always chiming in. And that's one good thing about the Raider Nation. They'll fill up the black hole. They'll get guys that'll play all your players. You need Otis Sistrom. You need Kenny Stabler. They're all here. I mean, I just think it's such a great thing. One of my radio friends from Milwaukee, he used to tell me stories about John had a Jeep. He'd take the top off his Jeep, and it'd be winter, freezing, and he'd be driving around like 4 girls in the car, and then he goes, "There goes the twos." He was just bigger than life. Great personality, but he also very serious about football and got the job done.
Yeah, you got that right. He loved life. He loved people. He loved to be entertaining, and that's why I think he naturally fell into being an actor, as he had that passion to entertain people, right? You listen when we're talking to the Raider players and we're played ball with him, just to hear some of those stories and what he did for the energy of the team and going out on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
It's just like
There's a lot going. There's just so much.
It's so much, and we're gonna use some animations. We're gonna use some reenactments because there's no other way to tell these stories. And we're looking for people that have run into John and have those personal encounters with him in his life, and the Hollywood players that he worked with,
and going back,
and football players that he's played against,
and going back home to his town, his own coach, he went to see every single time his coach from track when he first started doing track, and he would go see him every time he went home. And the guy, we interviewed him in 96,
that's awesome.
About 96 years old. He ended up passing, after we filmed and so forth.
But that was his high school coach.
And he always made it home to see friends, and everybody knew. He was very family orientated. Even when he was in Hollywood and doing all that, it was very particular. His family was very important. He'd come home and he liked the solitude. He liked the peace there. Very supportive and protective of his sisters. There's just so much no one knows of John.
And
this is very exciting.
Well, John Madden was his coach, and John Madden had a way of, in the 70s, the Raiders were kind of a team of guys that had been bounced around, and they just needed a place to feel comfortable. And somehow John Madden was able to pull that out. In fact, I golfed with Otis Sistrunk one time, and he was saying that, I'm sure you're going to cover all this stuff, but Twos almost didn't make the Super Bowl because he'd been out all night, and some hippies drove him into the last minute, and he had to talk his way to get into the game. But then he had a great game, and Madden didn't care if you played right,
Well, as you know, like back then, they were all Cowboys, and they were collecting everybody from all the teams that were troublemakers. And actually, Al Davis was the one that called John. When I was reading about him and so forth, he talked about how he's kicked off all teams. He thought everything was over in his career, completely over. And then he got a call from Al Davis, said, "Fly me out here." It said he'd fly him out there, went in front of Al Davis, and he said, boom, that's where he began the tribe with the Raiders, And it was from being a troublemaker. And Al Davis believed in him, and boom, the rest is history, obviously.
He gave those guys a mission and to channel that troublemaker energy towards, right? And let's not make trouble. Let's just put it out. Let's leave it on the football field.
Yeah.
And, I mean, boy, was that successful.
2 Super Bowls under John Madden. I mean, it speaks for itself, right?
Yeah, and Tom Flores, John Madden, and all that. I mean, I am so excited about the documentary. So now, if people out there know John Matuzak lookalike, or they might even have a story that needs to be told, or someone from ex-players, whoever, you need to get a hold of me, or you get a hold of these guys. Now, we can do it a bunch of different ways. I will put it on my website. I'll put it on Facebook, and it'll be...
That's perfect.
Yeah, we can I'll put a
link.
That'd
be wonderful. That'd be wonderful.
Because there's probably stuff we just don't know yet. There's some nuggets out there, and I think it would be great to even be part of this. Are you going to film? Are you guys going to film in Oakland and Santa Rosa area?
We'll probably film all over the place.
Absolutely, we'll definitely. We got that on the plan, and
Pacific Coast Highway. There's a reenactment scene we'll be doing there over time. I mean, there's a lot, I guess.
I know there's a bunch of stories how the guys they used to do training camp in Santa Rosa. And sometimes after practice, they would wear their uniform and go to a bar just across the street in gear. Just walk across the street. I mean, I want to see that being filmed, and I'm going to come on set that day because I want to check all that out.
That'd be great.
Well, John went in the locker room wearing a leotard to make everybody laugh. I mean, that's just a minute story of a million things. So some reenacting, some animation. I mean, it's pretty crazy.
Well, and the fact that the family was able to keep it in control, and now they feel like it's the time to come out is awesome. And I can tell I've known you guys for 12 minutes, and I can tell that you're serious about this, and you're not here to make any damage. You want to honor the legend of John Matuzak, and that's what this is about.
100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing to us is the legend that he's known to honor his story.
There's so much about him, and a lot of.
You might have to make a 3-part documentary. There's so much.
There's
There's so much to it.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited. That's great. So we're talking about a year from now, maybe, or something like that. We don't know. You're not going to know. So.
We don't know.
Yeah,
we don't know on that, but we're working on it. It's coming along.
We have a Facebook page. Maybe you can link to it there.
Yeah.
The Twos.
What is it?
Facebook. The Twos. Facebook.com/the Twosdoc. I think it is just TOOZDOC, and we're trying to get our fan base out there. So if you're a fan of John Matuzak, find us on Facebook.
Yeah, this, like I said, this is the very first.
You guys are the first.
Yeah, we haven't told this publicly to anybody. No one knows this at all until now. So it's great to be, on your show explaining.
It's great to be on the patch.
Cool.
I mean, it's just like, to me, it's really special because football was so important to John, and that we're kind of presenting it to the football fans first, right? To help honor that memory. It's just, that's where we wanted to go. We didn't go with some Hollywood big announcement because, he was a Hollywood star. And, we got plenty of lot to do. But his heart was in football. That's where he started. So that's where we wanted to start.
Well, we're going to get the word out. And I'm telling you, like, there's a lot of Raider podcasts, and we're all kind of friends and stuff. There's like, we want this done right, and we're going to be excited about it. The nation's going to get behind this, man. I'm telling you right now.
We're so excited.
The fact that he wore leotards, he was a clown. He was a clown. So I was thinking, I'm friends with Mini Kiss, and those are the little people that dress up as Kiss, the rock band. You might have to have a Mini Twos, we just for a small reenactment, but I think that would be hilarious.
We might do it for you.
Mini Twos. The legend of John Matuzak. I want to thank Brett and Matt for coming out, man. This is exciting stuff. I'll have all the links to your Facebook page, and we wish you well and wish you luck. And let's keep in touch. Man. I want to update in a few weeks, and let's find out where we're at and what's going on. And you can tell me a little bit, maybe get into a little more about the life of John Matuzak. That would be awesome.
We can do that. We'd love to.
Yeah, rock and roll.
And another connection we have is Sadie Bass, the country artist. I love her, and I know you guys have done stuff with her, documentary style, and I just think that's great. And the more love we can share, Raider Nation, John Matuzak is going to be lifted up, and we're going to have a documentary. We can't wait to see it, and we want to help be a part of it. So thanks, guys, for being on.
Beautiful. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, man. Talk soon. Take care.
We'll be back with more Inside the Patch on 1430 ESPN, your official home of the Las Vegas Raiders.